get your popcorn ready as we talk about ball. Angry Cowboys Fan Podcast, and it's on. Get your popcorn ready as we talk about ball. Angry Cowboys Fan Podcast, and it's on. And it's on. And it's on.
What's going on, Cowboys Nation and Angry Cowboys fans around the world? Y'all know who it is. It's your man, the Angry Cowboys Fan. And guess what, Cowboys Nation? You've just tuned in to the Angry Cowboys Fan Podcast, the place to find my raw and uncut in podcast form. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about, of course, our Dallas Cowboys, but we're going to be discussing the upcoming draft and a draft day proposal from the Carolina Panthers. Will the Dallas Cowboys fall for the banana in the tailpipe once again? We're also going to be talking about something that I heard when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys' plans for the future. We're going to be talking about actually tanking for a good draft pick as well. All that and more during this episode of the Angry Cowboys Fan Podcast. First and foremost, Cowboys Nation, I got to start this episode off by talking about Tyron Smith. I remember when he came to the Dallas Cowboys in 2011. The first thing that stood out to me was that guy's size, his arm size, the way they hung below his knees. No diddy, but this man had long arms. I was used to seeing the big belly linemen, the guys who had the big bellies and were struggling to get off the line. But this man came with a six-pack and muscles. I'm going to have to no diddy this whole thing. But anyway, over the years, he's been that left side of the offensive line. You could pretty much guarantee that you weren't going to get too much pressure on the blind side of the quarterback because Tyron Smith was over there. He became Tony Romo and Dak Prescott's blind side. He became their protectors. When he was in the game, you really didn't have to worry about the pressure coming from the left side because Tyron had it locked down. And it was a pleasure to see him and Zach Martin in action. To see Tyron Smith and Zach Martin in their all-pro form was a work of art, Cowboys Nation. I ain't got to tell y'all this. You guys benefited from the same stuff that I did. It's just sad to see these guys have to leave the game without the ultimate prize. It's sad to leave the game and not have a Super Bowl championship on your finger. Each year, bringing the Dallas Cowboys offense stability, security, the team being able to build a line around those two anchors after Travis Frederick, Doug Free, and Ronald Leary left the team. I gotta tip my hat to Tyron Smith because he has brought this team something that if you are going to win a Super Bowl championship, you definitely need. So, to Zach Martin and Tyron Smith, thank you for the memories. Thank you for all your hard work and your dedication when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys and what you contributed to the team. Thank you for giving everybody what you had and leaving the rest of it out on the field. But most importantly, Tyron and Zach, thank you for your dedication to the Dallas Cowboys and for making it great to be DC for life. But Cowboys Nation, with these two retirements, the old guard is leaving. The last player that remains from the old guard, Rain Dakota Prescott. But I'm going to keep it a buck, Cowboys Nation. The Dallas Cowboys organization has to start prioritizing winning. We can't continue to have these retirement ceremonies for players who have spent their entire career in Dallas without receiving a championship. The Ring of Honor, it's not enough, Cowboys Nation. So I'm going to need this team to do whatever it can to make sure that it can bring a Super Bowl home to the Dallas Cowboys so we can break this trend. But all right, Cowboys Nation, let's talk about the upcoming NFL draft. I know everybody's excited for it. I'm excited for it. This is the first year where I cannot wait for the NFL draft. Last year, I was a little happy for the NFL draft, wanting to see who we would pick. But this time, it really seems like I am invested in this whole draft. But Cowboys Nation, I read an article on SI.com about the Carolina Panthers looking to fleece the Dallas Cowboys in this upcoming NFL draft. So let's head over to SI.com so we can check out the article, shall we? All right, Cowboys Nation, as we come over to SI.com, the Carolina Panthers section of SI.com, the title reads, Panthers trade pitch could see Carolina possibly robbing the Dallas Cowboys yet again. So if we go ahead and scroll down on the article, it says, the Carolina Panthers definitely pulled the wool over the Dallas Cowboys' eyes back at the trade deadline when they sent disappointing wide receiver Jonathan Mingo and a 7th-round draft pick to the Dallas Cowboys in exchange for a 4th rounder. Mingo went on to log just 5 catches for 46 yards in 8 games with Dallas, and while there is still time for the former 2nd-round selection to develop, it's looking less and less likely that he will find his groove. Go down a little bit. Could the Panthers rip off the Cowboys yet again ahead of the upcoming NFL draft? Brian Beaversluice of the Cat Scratch Reader fielded questions from fans in recent mailbag, and one Carolina fan pitched a rather interesting trade, sending the 8th overall pick to Dallas for picks number 12 and 44. The Cowboys seem to like Penn State tight end Tyler Warren, and the fans proposed that Dallas could use that 8th round overall pick to nab him. Trading up for Tyler Warren would be an interesting choice, but you've identified a player that could be worth it to the right team, Beaversluice wrote to the Cowboys. Adding more weapons for Dak Prescott does make sense. I like the trade, even if I do think it's a little steep for the Cowboys. This would actually be a fantastic trade for the Carolina Panthers, especially if they're planning on going defense with their 1st-round pick. Rumor has it that Carolina may be trying to reach for a pass rusher at number 8, so moving down to the 12th selection would be very helpful in that scenario. But would Dallas risk being bitten by the Panthers twice? All right, Cowboys Nation, I know what you're thinking, and I'm thinking the same thing. Price is way too exorbitant for the Dallas Cowboys liking. It is way too expensive to move up 4 picks, and you have to give away your 1st and your 2nd round. I know we're trading the 1st-round draft picks, but you would be essentially giving up your 2nd-round draft pick just to move up 4 spots. I don't know if that's the right thing to do for the Dallas Cowboys. I've said it before that I would move up in the draft to get Ashton Jeanty or Tetairoa McMillan, but I'm not willing to spend my 1st and my 2nd round of this draft doing it. We have way too many holes that need to be filled, and we have to start filling those this year. I mean, if they want maybe a 2nd-round pick from next year, then I would look into it, try to finagle a 2nd or a 3rd-round pick. But to give 1st and 2nd this year, nah, I just don't think that's a good move. But speaking of moving up in the draft, Stephen Jones recently came out and said that he didn't know if they would consider moving up in the draft, but wouldn't be opposed to moving back in the draft. Yo, you know what? I actually hope that they're not closing the door on this idea. And a part of me is thinking that Jerry and Stephen Jones, they're doing the opposite of everything that they're telling the media. If you look at the most recent activity from the Dallas Cowboys, they are indeed doing the exact opposite of what they've been telling the media. I mean, I remember Jerry saying that he wouldn't use free agency to fill holes on the team. Then he started using free agency to fill holes on the team. So I hope that they're pulling the okie doke and they'll be open to whatever's going to better this team. I continue to do mock draft after mock draft, and Ashton Jeanty, he keeps falling to either the Raiders or the 49ers. I actually went to a San Francisco 49ers content creators live just to see who they were thinking about picking with their 1st-round pick. Oddly enough, I didn't see too much about Ashton Jeanty. They mentioned him every now and then, but they were more interested in the offensive or defensive line. With the New Orleans Saints and Derek Carr's shoulder injury, they could be in the market for a 1st-round quarterback. The only team I would be considering with drafting Ashton Jeanty is the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm going to have to do some more intel to see what their fans are talking about when it comes to that running back position. I know they got Geno Smith right now, and the quarterback position seems a little set, but you can always use the Shadur Sanders going to the Las Vegas Raiders to hopefully get Ashton Jeanty to fall down to the Dallas Cowboys. But speaking of intel, I also popped in a content creator's overall mock draft. They were going through the picks for every single team. When they got to the Dallas Cowboys, they were talking about needing wide receivers, but the conversation went over to tanking for Archie Manning, and it got me thinking, Cowboys Nation. A lot of people and content creators as well have been talking about Archie Manning coming to the Dallas Cowboys to take Dak Prescott's place. Hey, I don't mind it. Being a senior in 2028, I have no problem with him coming to the Dallas Cowboys during that time to potentially take Dak Prescott's spot. And also, I can kind of see the allure when it comes to taking a player with a built-in legacy the way Archie Manning has. His grandfather, Archie, He was caught telling people that he wanted his grandson to come to the Dallas Cowboys when it was time for him to be drafted. That would be great for the Dallas Cowboys brand, their marketing, and promotion. I mean, it would be good for football, too. The problem comes when you start to take into consideration the 3 other teams who would be in search for not only a great quarterback prospect, but it would continue the legacy of the Manning family and the impact that they had on these teams. So, Cowboys Nation, we all know the legacy of the Manning family and their impact on their respective franchises. Archie Manning for the New Orleans Saints, Peyton Manning with the Indianapolis Colts, and Eli Manning with the New York Giants, respectively. 2 of the 3 Mannings play for other teams in their careers, the Houston Oilers and Minnesota Vikings for Archie, and the Denver Broncos for Peyton Manning. Each primary team the Mannings used to play for, they're currently looking for a quarterback on each one of those teams, and those teams are usually on the losing side of the NFL. What if Archie Manning was drafted to either the Saints, the Giants, or the Colts to continue the family legacy? What if the Dallas Cowboys were just good enough to miss out on him? You would be definitely having headlines for everybody that's involved, I can tell you that. But the Dallas Cowboys would look like an idiot once again. So this brings us to the notion of tanking the season for a prospect coming out of college. Is it worth it, Cowboys Nation? What if you don't find yourself on the right side of that? What if you're not finding what you're looking for? You know what I'm saying? Well, I guess you got yourself one hell of a draft pick out of the deal. That's all I'm saying. But we even contemplated the idea of tanking last year. I'm so glad that the Dallas Cowboys decided to try instead of just laying down and taking for just a pick. You know what I'm saying? I know hindsight is 20/20, but I honestly don't think that I would have been on board for tanking for a player. I mean, I've played the game of football. I know how intense it is, so I wouldn't want to go out there and just not give my all to my team, especially if I'm in a contract situation. If I'm in a contract situation, how could you expect me to go out on that field and tank for a player, especially a player that could potentially take my position? Do you see the conundrum, Cowboys Nation? And another topic that I want to talk about the importance of the running back position in this upcoming draft and how it is important for the Dallas Cowboys to make sure that they get a workhorse, that they get a dog in this upcoming draft, because if you don't, we're stuck with other players that could potentially have us in the same situation that we saw ourselves in last year. There are so many, and I could put them on the screen right now. There are so many running backs in this upcoming draft, and I just love the fact that we have so much to pick from. Let me go ahead and put it up on the screen real quick. All right, Cowboys Nation, if you look up on the screen right over there, you will see that there are like 22 prospects coming out of college in the running back class alone. There is so many people to choose from Ashton Genty to Yall Tootin to Cam Scatterboo. I know people don't like Cam Scatterboo, Devin Neal, DJ Giddens. I believe DJ Giddens could be a good fit for the Dallas Cowboys, seeing who their offensive line coach is. But there are some more picks in this NFL draft, but the important thing is that the Dallas Cowboys have to capitalize. That's why we feel that the Ashton Genty move is a real important move, Cowboys Nation. I know we're also looking at Amarian Hampton and Quinshon Judkins, RJ Harvey, people of that nature, and I believe that the Dallas Cowboys can actually, like I said, capitalize on getting 2. They can double dip into this draft, get 2 running backs so that our backfield is stout. And when Dak Prescott has a great backfield and the defensive coordinator has to key on those backs in that backfield, then the Dallas Cowboys offense has something going. You know what I'm saying? Even when we had Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard in the backfield and the defensive coordinators, the defensive side of the ball was keying on those 2 running backs. It made it easy for people like a Michael Gallup or a CeeDee Lamb to get wide open. Even T.Y. Hilton was getting open when we had a couple dogs in the backfield. So it is imperative that the Dallas Cowboys go into this NFL draft bettering that backfield, getting Dak Prescott some more weapons on the outside with CeeDee Lamb. And we're going to be golden in this upcoming draft, Cowboys Nation. I got a feeling it hinges on the fact of getting a running back. I bounce between running back and wide receiver. Which one is more important to the Dallas Cowboys, running back or wide receiver? And I always come back to running back because I know how Dak Prescott can operate that offense if he has a quality running back behind him. I know what Dak Prescott can do when he has a quality running back behind him. So this is why this position is the most important position that you have to land this year. You can't go to free agency and get us somebody that's washed. I mean, I hate to say that about Ezekiel Elliott, but you can't go to free agency doing that this year. You have to go to the draft. You have to go to the draft and spend a premium pick on a running back. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I know we were talking about Jonathan Brooks last year, and we were talking about Braylon Allen and people of that nature, but the Dallas Cowboys did absolutely nothing from the running back position except go to free agency and bring back Ezekiel Elliott. This year, like I said, we cannot do that, and I hope that the Dallas Cowboys treat this as a priority. We'll see in a few days, Cowboys Nation, because the draft is quickly coming upon us. Got a homie, J-Tuck, out there. He's going to be doing his thing, man. J-Tuck, salute to you. He's going to be at the NFL draft, and hopefully we'll be able to get in there and get a couple words from J-Tuck to see how everything's going at the 2025 NFL draft. But Cowboys Nation, I will tell you this, Cowboys Nation. I am looking forward to it. Like I started at the beginning of this whole video, of this whole podcast, I am looking forward to the NFL draft. But let's go ahead and switch gears real quick, because I want to actually put a video in here that I was working on, and I want you to listen to it. All right, Cowboys Nation, it's of me. It's of the Angry Cowboys Fan Podcast, but it was the other day when I had something on my mind, when something was truly pressing on my mind, and I wanted to get it out to you guys. I didn't want to release it as a video. I wanted to release it on the Angry Cowboys Fan Podcast. So if my get up changes, it's because you're watching the video. Go ahead and tune in to it right now. All right, Cowboys Nation, this is what I'm going to do. I am going to read some comments. I'm going to read some comments, and I am going to respond to them. And this is going to be something that I do on a normal basis on the Angry Cowboys Fan Podcast. So if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. But my homeboy, my man, Kenneth Stanley, 9462, says, ACF, you nailed it. And what he's talking about the video that I just put out a few hours ago about the philosophy of the Dallas Cowboys. One of the things that hold our Dallas Cowboys back from achieving more than just divisional and done. So he says, actually, this video needs a little context. At the beginning of the video, I put a clip of Jerry Jones saying that he likes the personnel. So that was clipped from the interview right after the Baltimore Ravens game, you know, the one that we lost. I think we lost by 3. But I clipped that and I put that at the beginning of my video. And he's responding to that. He says, ACF, you nailed it. Complacency and just conducting business is the reason why we haven't been to the Super Bowl in 30 years, much less winning one. The players, of course, had played a part in Cowboys not going to the Super Bowl, but the front office are the ones has done all the hiring of the head coaches and staff and picking the coaches that are yes men, except Bill Parcells and Jimmy Johnson. And Kenneth, you're right. You're absolutely right. And that's why I talked about complacency being one of those things that's eaten away at the core of the Dallas Cowboys. Whether it's the organization, well, you know, they promote very well. You know, they have built an empire when it comes to the brand of the Dallas Cowboys. But when it comes to football operations, when it comes to those guys hitting the field, I don't believe they take as much passion, as much desire, as much will to be number one in that arena as they do in the marketing and the branding of the Dallas Cowboys brand. You know what I'm saying? And I feel complacency is one of those things that just festers. It festers in the foundation of anything. It festers in the foundation of relationships. Like if you are complacent in relationships and not doing anything to continue to keep that spark, that flame lit, then it's going to eventually end the way you don't want it to end. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you in particular, and I'm not saying me. I love my wife, but I'm just saying complacency in anything, too much complacency is a bad thing, and it's just a bad thing in my whole take in this whole scenario. And I feel that the Dallas Cowboys, since the 90s, since 1995, when Jerry Jones realized that he could get a Super Bowl doing it his way, I believe it was him and Barry Switzer. They said, we did it our way, and that went right to his head. His way won a championship, so why wouldn't his way win another championship? And he's been doing his way for the last 30 years, and it hasn't gotten us anywhere. And nobody in that building has the spine, the gumption, or the fortitude to be like, Jerry, you gotta change it up. You gotta change it up. You know, so you said something about yes men in your comment, and that's another thing that people just... it weighs it down. It weighs the whole process down. The yes men, they don't do nothing except yes to the owner. I mean, the owner is going to do what the owner is going to do. And these guys, even the ones that are sit there to be, you know, the checks and balances when it comes to the Cowboys, like you're doing too much or you're not doing enough. Even these people are like, yes, Jerry. Yes, sure. Yeah. Get this guy. Yeah, he's very affordable. They are going to agree with him. They're not going to give him any pushback. And I think the one that does give pushback is Stephen Jones. Stephen Jones will give pushback if the move doesn't make sense. You know, like if Jerry is going to be just going out to free agency and getting this lavish pick, this lavish player. And Steven's like, I don't know about that, Pop. I don't know. Just step back. Oh, you want to go into the draft and get Johnny Manziel? I don't know about that, Pop, man. We could get this guy, Zach Martin. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you want to think about that. So I think Steven is more of the come back down to earth, Pop. We all the way up here. We need to be right down here. Come back to earth. So those yes men are not helping, obviously, the situation at hand, and they're only solidifying it in Jerry Jones' head. Like, yes, my way is the way. It's either my way or the highway. You know what I'm saying? No pushback. I remember that we had my homie Stefan on the show, and he was saying that he used to work for the Cowboys as, you know, a person that gave tours and everything. And because they looked at his social media and saw that he had a disdain hashtag, you know, he didn't have the hashtag at that time, but he had a disdain for the ownership of the Dallas Cowboys, they fired him. You know, 103 The Fan said some stuff that Jerry Jones didn't like, gave a little bit of pushback, asked questions that made Jerry Jones uncomfortable. And what did he do? He threatened to get rid of him. Even though he has no saying over 105.3 The Fan, he threatened to get rid of him. If you are not a yes man to Jerry Jones, then worthless. You know what I'm saying? If you are a little bit of a rebel, they keep you at an arm's distance. They've been doing it to Dak Prescott. You know, Dak Prescott ain't on the level of a Micah Parsons. Dak Prescott ain't on the level that Tony Romo was on the level. He ain't on the level like Jason Witten or Ezekiel Elliott was on the level. Dak Prescott's more on the level of he's more on the level of a Coop. On Amari Cooper. He's on that level. You know, yeah, we tolerate you. We like, ha, chummy. You ain't coming on the yacht. You know, you ain't being invited for Coco and the sleepover like they did Mike McCarthy. They've been keeping Dak at an arm's length. But the complacency to say that the quarterback's going to have to do more with less, we are good where we are. How many years have we been good where we are? I know for the past several drafts, we've been good the way we are. You know what I'm saying, Cowboys Nation? I just feel that something has to change. You know it has to change, but dude, they know it has to change. then that's the question in my head. Do they know that something has to change? And I believe they're aware of it. Stephen Jones more than Jerry Jones. For some reason, Jerry Jones is sitting there. He shifted that thing into neutral, and he's just coasted. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It just seems like Jerry Jones is just coasting. He comes out, he says a few things, answers a few questions and stuff like that. But then he's Black Hoodie Jerry back in the corner at the combine. So, and the one that has been in the forefront of the media has been Stephen Jones. It's been Stephen Jones and Brian Schottenheimer, but Stephen Jones. It seems like Stephen Jones is the head of the ship right now, and Jerry Jones is the mascot. Like, Jerry Jones is rowdy, to keep it a buck. I mean, yes, he owns the team. He writes the checks. He signs the checks, bam. Nothing happens unless it goes through Jerry. But the legwork is everybody else. The legwork is Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones Jr. and Charlotte and Will McClay and everybody in the front office. And I go back to this, saying all that about the front office. Y'all see, if you have calamity and confusion and a quiet riot in your front office at the top, you don't think that's going to go down to the coaching staff, then eventually to the players? Because if you have a quiet riot up here when we try to get stuff done on the lower level and we come to you, we are going to enter. And I say we like I'm on the damn team and I'm in the organization, but the Cowboys coaching staff is going to enter that confusion and a big fight cloud like the cartoons, and then they're going to come back down and pretty much relay no message to the team except for go out there and win. There's no help coming, so just go out there and do your best, guys. Trickle down, man. So the complacency needs to get out of here. It needs to get tossed out of the window when we open it up for our Super Bowl chance. The complacency needs to stop, because if the front office is complacent, then the coaching staff is complacent. Well, I mean, the front office gets complacent and the coaching staff has no choice but to become complacent. All right, no help's coming, so we gotta just work with what we have. We gotta be okay with what we have. And then now the players are like, man, I'm playing my ass off, and this player over here can't give me 100%, or he gives me 100%, and it's just not enough because his talent isn't enough. But we like our guys, so we're going to keep them there. We're going to keep them on the roster. And I love the Deuce Vaughn story. I love it. I was rooting for them to go ahead and draft him. And since he's been drafted, he has been a non-factor. A zero factor, has barely hit the field. And I'm like, man, is this dude holding up a roster spot or what? Are we holding him on the roster because his dad works for the Cowboys and it's just a wonderful, beautiful story that if it does happen and he does succeed, that we could be like, yeah, we did that. You know what I'm saying? Is it that? Or is it the fact that Mike McCarthy didn't even know how to use Brandon Cooks? Ain't no way in hell he gonna know how to use Deuce Vaughn. Especially if we ain't lining Deuce Vaughn in the backfield. We lining him up at the slot or, out as a receiver. He don't know how to use Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks was mismanaged during this whole thing. Why? Because the front office was complacent with the coaching staff that we had. They were complacent. People get this misconception that Jerry Jones let go of Mike McCarthy. That is not the case, Cowboys Nation. That's not the case. Jerry Jones was meeting with Mike McCarthy to get him to stay here for another 5 years, Cowboys Nation. He was trying to sit there and get him to stay a Dallas Cowboy, but Mike McCarthy wasn't having something, a stipulation that was in the contract, a stipulation that they were discussing. We don't know what it was. We weren't behind closed doors. We weren't flies on the wall. So we don't know what really went on. But, and never mind. We ain't even going to go there. We ain't even going to go there and elaborate. But I'm just saying this. If we remain complacent, then we are going to stay complacent and we are going to stay in the place that we've been. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be NFC championships or Super Bowls within my lifetime, and I'm 42. It's not going to be that if we remain complacent. And I've gone on record to say that I believe the Dallas Cowboys will get a Super Bowl when Jerry is called home. Like a couple of years after Jerry's called home, the Dallas Cowboys will win a Super Bowl. The only thing I'll do, I'll cheer, and I'm actually coming to Dallas. If in my lifetime that we go to the Super Bowl, you best believe I am coming to Dallas. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I gotta come to Dallas. But I want to come to Dallas this year for a game or something and meet up with everybody, say what's up, whoever's in the area. But that's neither here nor there. I don't know, this whole video was on my heart. The fact of complacency, the things that just rot at the Dallas Cowboys, not even from an exterior perspective, but from an interior perspective. The things that we don't see out on the field that hurt the things that happen on the field. Discipline issues. That's a coaching situation. That can be taught, but is it being taught? Yeah, Cowboys Nation, it's complacency. It's complacency from the core of the Dallas Cowboys that is ruining the Dallas Cowboys. What we need to do, we need to get rid of that monkey. We got to get rid of that monkey on our backs. Stop being complacent. Shake it up a little bit. Give these wide receiver ones and QB ones and RB ones, when we get one, test them. Iron sharpens iron. So you want to test them out on the field, because if they go untested, they will be beaten every single time during the regular season and if we make the playoffs. But Cowboys Nation, what I want to do with the Angry Cowboys Fan Podcast, at the end of the podcast episode, I'm going to be answering questions, because I feel that the characters in the comment section is not enough to express emotion through my responses. I mean, I may type back and I may type responses to you guys because I love talking to you guys. But the thing is that you can see my emotion whenever I do the videos, whenever I respond to you through the videos. So I feel that's what I'm going to do. And this past comment that I showed up on the screen, the one that I showed right over there, it was pertinent to the video that I had created, and I wanted to go more in depth on it. But I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys like the Angry Cowboys Fan Podcast, because put my heart and soul into this. Want to bring you guys some more entertaining content other than just what I bring as far as the Angry Cowboys Fan videos and going live. I want you guys to be able to ride around in your vehicles, be at work, put it in your headphones, not get in trouble trying to watch it live and everything, but still get some Dallas Cowboys information. But this has been your man, the Angry Cowboys Fan. What did you feel about the second episode of the Angry Cowboys Fan Podcast? How did y'all feel about that whole Carolina Panthers thing? Y'all know how we do it. We always talk about it in the comment section. But if you're digging this content and want to help get it out to even more Dallas Cowboys fans, drop a like on this video, and please consider sharing all the content with anybody that you know is a Dallas Cowboys fan. If you are DC for life and love the Angry Cowboys Fan Podcast and wish that your man would come up with some more, and I know I gotta do a janitor skit, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell to be notified whenever I go live, release a video, podcast episode, film breakdown, draft coverage, or Madden 25 or College Football 25 gameplay. And make sure you guys are subscribed up to the Angry Cowboys Fan YouTube channel, as well as Sports Junkies YouTube channel. Head on over to the Facts Over Feelings YouTube channel and subscribe there too, because we're going to have some raw and uncut content to bring to Cowboys Nation. So make sure that you're subbed up. We trying to get to 10K over here, Cowboys Nation. We are trying to get to 10K. That has been a huge goal of mine. Ever since we started getting numbers, the goal of mine was to be at 10K. So I need your help in doing it. But This has been your man, the Angry Cowboys Fan. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Actually, I'll see you in the next live. But I'm out. Dang, Angry Cowboys fan, you done made it through the entire video. But if you want more content, you can definitely go to this video right here. Or if you want the latest episode of the Angry Cowboys Fan Podcast, you can go right here. But whatever you do, like, share, and subscribe to the channel, but remain DC for life.